Hi guys, I'm going to go out of my comfort zone today and show you a little cane that I designed. Now, I'm not a cane expert, I don't make them very often. I don't tend to like the busyness of them, but I just thought I'd show you this simple one that I made, and then I'll make a pendant with it. So I'm a little nervous to show you on camera how I did it in case it goes wrong, but that's the beauty of recording. If it doesn't turn out, you don't need to know about it. So fingers crossed it'll work out. So I'm just going to go with these four colours: white, turquoise blue, antique gold and black, and these are all Premo clay. And I've taken two of the blocks off a 2 ounce block, so they're all equal. And I'm also going to have some black for my background as well, my backing clay, so you'll need some extra for that as well. So they're the four colours I'm using because I just want it to be very subtle and not too garish. I'm not really into the bright colours. And the first thing I'm going to do is just take each piece and roll it into a teardrop because I want to make a blend out of these colours. So I'll just quickly do that. So I'm not too worried about over conditioning it right now because it's going to be passed through the pasta machine several times, obviously. So just quickly, I'm going to make these into teardrops. Very rough. Now, the thing I found with canes, and this is the problem I always used to run into when I did try and attempt them in the past, is because I was so scared of screwing it up, I would only use a small amount of clay. And then that meant you didn't have a very big cane at the end of it. And by the time I reduced it, it was like, well, like a thing of mud, really, just all blurry and muddy looking, with no real definition to the pan. So it is better to use more clay so you get a bigger cane. That way you've got more room to reduce it. So that's my experience anyway, and I don't know, every now and then, periodically, I'll try again. So I should probably have done this off camera, but anyway, I wanted you to see how much clay I was using. Actually, guys, I am just going to go and finish these off camera. Alright, so I've roughly rolled those into a kind of teardrop shape. I've decided to take a little bit of black away. I don't want it to overpower the whole cane too much. So remember, these are all the same amount of clay. I'm just going to take this much away, just to make the black a little bit smaller. So that's that. So I'm just going to put this here, and then I'm just going to press them together a little bit, make sure they're stuck together. Get my roller, give it a roll so they're thin enough to go through my pasta machine, because it's kind of thick right now. Okay, and I'm going to do a blend in my pasta machine. So I'm going to run it down this way, fold, and keep going down like that. Down, fold, until I've got my blend, and I'll be back. Alright guys, I've got my blend, excuse me, but now I want to make it into a thinner strip, so I'm going to take it and fold it. Let me do it this way. I'll just tuck that in first. So I'm just going to fold it over colour to colour, so it's this rectangle shape as opposed to squarer. I'm just going to give it a bit of a mush together. And then I'm going to pass it through my pasta machine going this way. And I'm going to take it down to a number 6, which is the third thinnest setting on my pasta machine, number 9 being the thinnest setting. So I'll be back when I've done that. Alright, I've got this super long strip of clay now, so here's one end going all the way down through the blue colours and then going into the gold and then into the black at the other end. So it is very long, but that's what you need. And now I'm just going to turn this into a fan fold. So I'm going to start at one end, and it doesn't matter which end you start, but I'm going to start, let me just unravel this a bit. Oh my gosh, it's long. So I'm just going to start at this end, and I'm going to start to fan fold it. So I'm going to take it probably about an inch in width, like so, and just start to fold, and then pull this over as I go along, like so. So you just basically folding one side, flipping it over, and folding it another side, and I like to kind of mush it in and keep it as straight as I can as I go. I've seen some people do this and they're like lightning with it. They can go so fast with it. Me, not so much. So I'm just going to keep doing that until I've folded all of it, and I'll be back. Okay, so I've fan folded that all the way through the length of the clay. So we've got the darker colour going into the lighter colour like this. Now what I want to do is make this a little rounder. So I'm just squeezing in the middle to start with. So it's like it's giving it a bit of a waist to it. And then I'm just going to take it round. It doesn't have to be perfect, it's just to give it more of a circular shape. And we're not reducing this at this point, we're just making it round. So give it a little roll, give it a little squish. Until you're left with something that looks like this. Okay, roundish. Now the next thing I need to do is grab some more black clay. I forgot to mention this part, you will need some more black clay. So I'm just going to go and condition this black clay, and I'm going to roll, we need one tiny strip to run in the centre of this, and I'm going to roll that onto a number 6. So when I've done that, so I've rolled my sheet of clay onto a number 6, but we only need a tiny bit of it, to be honest. So there's that. Now what I'm going to do now is flip this over so it's white, light side facing up, and I'm just going to take my blade, not that one, and I'm going to cut a slice down to just before it touches the where the blue's going into the gold, so kind of almost halfway but not quite. And I'm just going to open it up like this, and I'm going to take that clay that I rolled out onto a 6, and I'm just going to drop that in there. And then we need the rest of this to make some logs. Just make sure it's long enough. I'm just going to tidy these edges a little bit. So open that cut up so you can just drop this in. That's not thick enough, sorry guys. I didn't cut it wide enough. Try again. Try again. Let's make it a bit wider this time. It doesn't matter if it sticks out the other end, I can just cut it away. So there we go. And that's just about perfect anyway. So just drop that slice in there and then just get rid of this excess hanging over the edges here. And we'll just cut this away a little bit as well. Okay, so that's that in the middle of there, and you can see where it comes down to. It's halfway basically, more or less. And I'm just going to give that another squish just to make sure it's in there nice. And I'm going to give myself a scratch because I've got an itch. Alright, so that's that bit. Now we need to take some of this black clay that we've got left over and roll it into a log. Excuse me. I don't know whether I've got a cold or allergies, but I've been sneezing like crazy just lately. So I'm just going to roll this black clay into a log. I don't want it too thick. And obviously it's got to be long enough to fit inside that. So I'm just going to take this a bit thinner. I think that will be good. And then just make sure it's going to fit and just cut away those bits here. So we've got this log that's going to fit in here, but I'm going to cut it in half. Like so. Okay, so you've got this half circle kind of look. And then I'm going to take this back and I'm going to get something to poke divots into the clay. So whatever it is you've got that can be pushed down. I haven't got all those fancy tools because I don't make canes often enough. So I just use whatever I've got at hand. Now, it doesn't have to go as far down as this first piece, but it needs to be deep enough to accommodate this black half log. So I think that's deep enough, just to make sure it's flush. So it looks like this. Okay, and then we're going to do the same on the other side. And just wiggle. I'm just using a paintbrush and I'm just kind of wiggling it in there. Just make sure this fits. Maybe just a little deeper actually. So I'm just going to pop that in there like so. And I'm just going to squish all this together, but I'm keeping it in that almost rectangular shape now. I'm not going to roll it back round how it was before. So I'm just going to try and keep it rectangular at this point. I'm just making sure all that's in there good. So you can see that's what it looks like. Actually, I'm going to cut into it a little bit just to take some of these rough edges off, then you'll be able to see better. Okay, so that's what it looks like. I'll take this edge off too. Okay, so that's what you're left with at this point. Okay, so now I've got my rectangular piece. I'm going to now cut it in half. And I am not very good at eyeballing, so if it doesn't match, it doesn't match, but I'll give it a go. Actually, I'm just going to go over here so I can see better. Alright, so now I've cut it in half, so you've got two pieces. And now what I'm going to do is flip them over and match that pattern up on both sides, like this. So now you've got the dark side on both sides, so to speak, and then this pattern running through the middle. And now what I'm going to do is take it back to a more circular shape. So I'm just going to kind of mush it round to take it back rounder. Do excuse me for always clearing my throat right now, but like I say, I think I've got allergies. I mean, I was outside yesterday, not yesterday, the day before, clearing our vast amount of leaves out of our backyard. We've got like 3 oak trees in our backyard, and then neighbours on either side have got 2 or 3 as well, so you can imagine how many leaves. And I think that's what's done it. It's just like aggravated me a little bit. But anyway, so I'm just taking this round. Okay. Now, I want to turn this into a triangle now, so I'm going to decide which bit of it I want to be the pointy part of the triangle. So I'm going to go with, let me just give this a quick roll so it's a little rounder. So I'm going to go with this bit here as the point to the cane. So I'm just going to lay it down, and I'm going to start reducing this into a triangle, and this white strip across here is going to be the point, and I've still got the dark on either side. I'm hoping you're following this. But anyway, I'm taking the whiter part, the lighter part of the cane, and turning that into the point of the triangle. And I'm just going to reduce this a little bit, not too much, because we're going to cut it in half in a second. I'm just trying to get it as even as possible. This is the bit I'm not very good at, guys. I'm not very good at reducing, and I think I need a masterclass in it or something, because I do struggle with it, to be honest. But I'm sure you guys can do it. So I'm just taking that into the point, like I said, and I'm flipping it each time and just trying to stretch it. But you can see with me, it kind of, I don't know, it doesn't keep up on itself, so to speak. But I'm not too worried, because I am going to take these ends off just to show you what it looks like now it's cut there. And just take that off. Okay, so you've got this triangle, and that's what you've got so far. Alright, now I'm going to take this and cut this in half again. I just want to try and make sure it's level as I can get it anyway. And then cut it in half and put those 2 points together like this. So there's that. Now you've reshaped it back into a triangle of sorts. So this is the bottom part of the triangle where it's flatter, and you're going back to that same point again to continue with that point across the cane. So I'm going to be reducing it this way. So I'll do a little bit of that on camera, just so you know what I'm doing. So I've got that triangle again, okay? I'm going to reduce it just a little bit more, and I'll be back. So I've only reduced it a little bit, and I've taken the end off just so you can see where we're at so far. So that's what that looks like. Now, I'm thinking, do I want to cut in half again, or do I want to leave it like that? So that's what it would look like if I didn't cut it in half again, but you can keep going. I think I am going to leave it like this. I really like that. So that's the pattern I'm going for. Like I said, you could cut in half again and triangle it. You know what I mean, and then reduce it again, and then you'd get you know, a little bit more of a pattern going on. But I like to keep mine fairly simple, so I am just going to keep it at this stage. Okay, so now we've got our final triangle. It does need to be reduced further, and I want to try and get 6 equal pieces out of it, so I need to reduce this to 6 inches. Now, I'm not going to bore you with that on camera, but just so you know what I'm doing, I'm continuing to reduce this to 6 inches. Once I've done that, I'll be back. Okay, I've reduced this down to 6 inches, and I'm just going to cut it into equal 1-inch pieces. And even with a ruler, I'm not that great with this because I can't quite see where the point is. I think I went a little bit over on all of them, but oh well. So roughly 1-inch pieces, like so. Okay, so let's just cut all the way through on these. And now you've got your pieces. And this is what the pattern's going to look like. Like I say, it's quite simple, but that's the way I like it. So this is what it's going to look like. So I'm just going to put 3 pieces together to start with. Just line it up on both sides. Okay, and I'm just going to take some more of that black clay and roll a little centre. It doesn't need to be too thick. It's just a little piece in the centre of the flower, the cane. I suppose it does look kind of like a flower, I don't know. Actually, it looks a little bit like butterfly wings. You could turn it into a butterfly. That would be cool. Anyway, so I'm just rolling this little bit of black out just to make a tiny centre for this. And it is only quite small because you've got to fit those other 3 pieces around it. So I'm just popping that in the middle there. And I think that should be enough. And just get rid of this excess here. So that's half of the cane, and I'm just going to now finish putting all the pieces together, making sure they're lined up on both sides, and then it's a question of squidging it all together. And this bit I struggle with as well, because it always seems that there's like one I could have done with another piece, but oh well. So now it's just a case of manipulating it so it all kind of fits together like this. And make sure it's the same on both sides. And there's the finished look. Obviously it needs to be reduced. So we'll reduce it a little bit on camera, just so you can see. So I am just kind of manipulating it a little bit to make sure it's all together. And I'll be honest with you guys, I'm quite proud of this cane because it's just something that I thought of, you know. I just sat down one day and I thought, let me have another go. I'll just make up something as I go along. And for me, I think that's the best way for me to learn, because it's given me a chance to kind of work out in my own head how a cane works, how it's put together to get the look that you want. Now this is just a simple one, obviously, but I think, you know, if you could master a simple one, you might be able to master more complex ones, because my brain doesn't really think that way. So I am actually quite proud of it, and I'm so glad it worked out on camera. But anyway, I've reduced it as much as I want to reduce it at this point, because now I want to wrap this in black. So I'm just going to go and roll out some clay, black clay, and I'm going to roll it onto a number 3, and I will be back. Right guys, I've rolled a strip of clay out onto a number 3 and wide enough to accommodate my cane. Let me just take this bit off, it's a little untidy. So straighten off that edge, and let's turn it this way. Alright, so I'm just going to tidy these edges up so it fits the cane. Just get rid of those scrappy bits. Oops. That should be enough. And then just start to roll the cane in the black. Cut it a bit short there. Well, so just do that. Give it a rock so it leaves a little mark where you need to cut, and just slice it away. And there we go. Like I say, I did cut it a bit short there, but the ends are going to get cut away, so I'm not too concerned. So once you've covered your cane in black, now it's time to reduce it to the size that you want it to be. So start in the middle, just pushing into the middle like this, so you're forming that waist again, and then gradually start taking it to the edges as well. And you just need to keep doing that until you've reduced it to the size that you want. Now when you're kind of happy with the way it's going, you can give it a little roll just to tidy it up a bit. I want to reduce this down to 3, maybe even 4 different sizes for the pendant that I want to show you that I'm going to make with it. So I'm going to keep on reducing this, and I'm going to reduce it into different sizes, and once I've done that I will be back. Okay guys, so I've reduced these down. I've left one fairly big, and then I've gradually reduced down to smaller sizes like so. And these are what I'm going to be using. Oh, and I do have some left as well. So, and there is all this scrap that you tend to get with canes, but you could still make something kind of cool with those scraps, so don't throw them away. Keep them and play around with them, and you'll be surprised what you can make from them. Alright, so let's get cracking with this pendant that I wanted to make with my cane, which I am super proud of. How pretty, yay! Okay, so I'm just going to take my black, and I've rolled this onto a number 1, which is my second thickest setting on my pasta machine. And I'm just going to start taking my slices of cane and placing it on the black. I'm not covering the whole sheet. This is what I was saying earlier about how I don't particularly like the busyness of cane if a whole piece is covered with it. That's just my opinion, that's just my preference. I'm not knocking anybody that does like it. I just prefer a less busy look. So I'm taking a slice of this cane. I'm thinking that might be a little too thick, so I'm going to cut another thinner slice, I think. I'll try anyway. Alright, so I'm just going to take it and reshape it back a little bit like this, and I'm going to just place it on my clay, and I'm thinking in my head how my design is going to look on my pendant. So I'm just pressing that on like so, and I think I'll go with one more bigger piece. And what I found with this as well, they look kind of cool if you overlap them a little bit, bearing in mind that this is wrapped in black and it's going onto black, so it's going to blend in nicely. So I'm just reshaping this a little bit, and then I am going to overlap on these first two pieces like so. Then I'm going to go down to my next size, and I'm just going to use one slice like so. Give it a little reshape, and I'm just going to start to curve it round. This is going to be a round pendant, so I'm bearing in mind what shape I'm going to do this. It's not going to fit probably all of it on, but that doesn't matter. And then I'm going to take another, I've gone down to the next size now, same thing, and I'm just going to bring it round like that, and then I've my smallest sized cane, and I'm just going to take a few slices of those as well and reshape it a little bit, and I'm just going to start to bring it round like so. And in here, that might be enough actually. I'm just thinking, I've got my cutter. Yeah, that's good. I could add another little bit, couldn't I? Maybe? What do you think? Oh, you can't answer me, can you? Oh dear, I do like to talk to myself. Right, let me just see if I want that there or not. No, I don't think I do. So just play around, guys. You know, you cover your piece however you want to cover it. You can do it the same way as me, or you can cover the whole piece. It's entirely up to you. This is just how I like to do it. Sorry, I just knocked the camera. It's actually an iPad that I use, not a camera. I don't have a camera, so to speak. Now, this bit is important. I'm just adjusting you guys because it's dropped down a bit. Okay, pray that it doesn't completely fall off. Alright, so I've got my pieces laid onto my clay. Now, you don't want to distort them too much. You want to try and keep them how you've laid them on there. So the best way to do that is to burnish. And I'm using one of these steel soaps to do so. Give it nice firm pressure, and I like to go in circular motions like this. And let's just lift to see how it's doing so far. See, it's not lost much of its shape. If you run it through the pasta machine, it's going to distort it. So I like to do it like this and just go round and round and round. And you can feel when it's level, when it's flush with that black clay. So just keep doing that. I'm just going to lift it and feel with my fingers. Almost there. This bit here is still a little too raised. So I'm just going to go back over that bit there. Okay, just feel with my fingers. Let's lift it up a little bit so I can see if there's any... see, like here, it's still not, you perhaps can't see on camera, but it's still not fully blended there. So I'm just going to use my fingers now just to make sure everything's blended how I want it. And I think that's good. So now obviously we've burnished this and it's made the clay quite a bit thinner. So I am going to need a little more for a backing. So I'm just going to go and roll some some more clay out. I'll be 1 second. I'm just going to roll this onto a number 2. Actually, I'm going to roll it onto a number 3. I don't want it overly thick. And I'm just going to place this on my card. Place that over there. Give it another burnish just to make sure everything's all nice and stuck together. Like that. And I think that was good. So that's what it looks like, guys. And burnishing is like really key to get a nice smooth surface. And you know how I like to sand and buff. Well, I will be sanding and buffing this one. I don't want to put resin on it. I just like the way it looks without. And now I'm just going to cut my shape. And it does cut some of it away, but that's fine. I kind of like how some of the pieces are right on the edge there. Just take this off. And there we have it. Now, I might dome this, I haven't fully decided, but if I do, I will just use like a bowl or something and lay the piece on the bowl so it gives it a little curve. But that's what it looks like so far. So I'm going to go and bake this. And I am going to add a bail on the back once it's baked and add that. I'll just quickly show you what I mean by that. I want a hidden bail on this. So all I would do is take some black clay and roll it out into a little strip. I'll just run it through the pasta machine, it's easier. So you've got a little strip like this, and all you're going to do is take enough of that strip to form a bail on the back of your pendant, and I would just take something like a paintbrush and just curve it round. A paintbrush, make sure you're going to leave a big enough hole to fit your cord or whatever through. And then let me just get another pendant to show you quick that I haven't finished yet. You would just place it like this on the back, put some liquid clay down first, place it on the back, give it a squish, try and get your piece out, of course. Just give it a squish down on there like that, then you've got this bail on the back. That's a little chunky, but you get the idea. And then you'd bake it again. So that's what I'm going to do with that one once this part is baked. Obviously you need to bake this first before you can do that. And I'm going to sand and buff it, and when I'm finished I'll be back to show you. Okay guys, this is out of the oven, it's baked, I've sanded it, I've buffed it, and I put a bail on the back. Excuse the white, I don't know what I was thinking, I should have used black liquid clay, so I am going to go back round this with black liquid clay to hide that ugly white. Durr. Anyway, so that's the bail on the back. Like I say, ignore the white. But that's the finished piece, and I've sanded it and buffed it like I said. And just quickly show you another little piece that I did. I reduced the cane even more, so it's just little pieces, and I just resined the back of that. If you want to know how I sand and buff, I do have a tutorial for that, and I will leave a link for that in the description. But there's the piece, guys. Hope you enjoyed that, and I'll catch you later. Thanks for watching. Bye.